Okay, so before we get started, if you want to hear how this bass sounds, both with and without some drums and some processing and whatnot, go to the time code that it says right here and we'll get you sorted out. If not, prepare for a long and excessive video of me talking about this beautiful bass guitar. So with that being said, let's get started. Hey everyone! So yesterday I posted a picture of this bass on my Instagram account. I've featured this bass here on my channel on the 2 Notes Dark Glass CBS preamp comparison video. I used this one for the more mellow, Motown-esque kind of stuff. It's a Fender Precision bass from 1963. This is actually the very first bass that I ever played, ever in my life. I think it was about 13 years old when I first played it. I don't consider myself starting to play before I turned like 15 or so, because before that I just took some lessons every week and I played for about 30 minutes a week during my lesson. I didn't play anything at all, basically. But anyways, this bass has always been with me. It was in my home when I grew up, when I was just a little kid. It was always there. It belonged to my uncle Ingemar. He passed away a year ago and left me this bass. It's pretty beat up. It's been a workhorse for many years, and he did some modifications to it, which I will get to in a second. Anyways, this bass was always around when I was growing up. It was standing in a corner in like almost in the living room, and he would play it every so often. This bass is actually the reason why I started to play bass, which sounds backwards, but it all started back in, I think it was 5th grade. A couple of friends of mine who were cooler than me got really into Guns N' Roses and wanted to start a Guns N' Roses tribute band, being the ambitious 5th graders that they were. So they decided that, oh, I'll be Slash and I'll be Axl, and then they ran out of the guys in the band because they didn't know any other musicians in the band. But I desperately wanted to be part of this cool band. So I said, I play bass, or I've got a bass, I can be the bass player. And no one wanted to be the bass player, even then, because nobody knew the difference between a bass and a guitar. It was just assumed it was a simpler instrument than a guitar, which it essentially is when you think about it. No, it isn't. Anyways, that band never got started, of course. They bought a book called Guns N' Roses Greatest Hits. There were no tabs in it. It was just sheet music and some chords, chord charts, and yeah, that was about it. The band never rehearsed. We never got anywhere with that. But my dad signed me up for music lessons. He signed me up for bass lessons because he thought it was a good idea for me to start playing. So fast forward like a year and a half or so, and I get a call saying oh, hi Erik, you're supposed to start taking bass lessons tomorrow. Does that suit you? Of course, I said. And I told my uncle, and he knew my bass teacher. They had played together way back in the 70s and in the 80s. And he took me to the side and was like, yeah, do you want to impress Britt-Marie, BM as she's called? My uncle said, do you want to impress her? Of course, I wanna be a good student. So he taught me the C major scale, but I think I played it like this. Something like that. That was pretty authentic of how I played it back then. He taught me the C major scale. I don't know how long that took, but he taught me that. And the day after, when I had my lesson, I showed her that I know the C major scale. I don't know what a major scale is, but I know it. So that was that. So I learned my first, bass lines on this bass. Then when I turned 15, I got my first own instrument on audio bass, and that was when I really got started. That's when I really got inspired to play. But this was the first instrument that I ever played, because it was always around, and I wouldn't have started to play bass if it wasn't for this very bass, which is kind of wonderful. So, like I said, last year, almost to this day, a year ago, my uncle passed away, which was really heartbreaking for me and my family. He was the one who really encouraged me and my brother to pursue music as more than a hobby, more as a passion. He helped us immensely. I can't even begin to explain how much he meant to me and my family. He was pretty much like my grandfather and second father even. Yeah, it was really tough to see him go. But I have this bass to remember him by. So with that being said, now about this bass. It's a Fender Precision 1963 model. It's a C-shape neck. And I think this was my uncle's third bass. I think he started off with a Rickenbacker, a blue 4001, I think it was. I'm not too well read up on the Rickenbacker basses, sorry about that. Then he played a Sunburst jazz bass for quite a while, and then he switched to this Precision bass. I think the body was stripped of the paint when he got it, I'm not sure. He told me it was blue originally, so maybe he stripped it, maybe someone else did, I don't know. They did some crazy things in the 70s. So the body is stripped of the color, and as you can see, there is a jazz pickup here, which is way too close to the bridge, some might think. It's pretty cool to have it here. It's got a certain sound to it, as you will hear in the sound samples. And yeah, it's placed way too close to the bridge for the classic jazz bass tone, but it kind of works, like if you use it together with a P pickup, like it gives some extra aggression to it. My friend Peter, who has helped me out quite a bit with my instruments now, he helped me fix this bass up. He rewired it, so I think it was volume, tone, but now it's volume, tone, and a three-way pickup selector, so that you don't get, so you get that a bit more consistent setting, if you will. So that's the setup now for the controls. The bridge pickup, which was a 1971 jazz pickup, was stone dead when Peter got to work. It probably needs to be rewound, so I'm gonna see to that in some time in the future. This is a DiMarzio pickup, which is way hotter than a regular jazz pickup, which helps balance the massive output of the precision bass pickup. Other than that, he's done some I don't know if you can see this, but this thing right here is not made of brass in its original, the way it's supposed to be. He replaced this with a badge of brass. I don't know if the original one is somewhere in his house up in Dalakarli. I will have to see if I can find it when I get back there during the summer. All of the wear on this bass is all natural, and you can really see what kind of keys he was playing in, because there is a mark here from wear and tear from his thumb being locked down here. So I think they played a lot of F and C. Yeah. Not that much wear and tear up here by, above essentially the 7th fret, there is not much wear and tear at all. I think the frets are the original ones from the 60s, from 63. they were in pretty damn good shape. He played flat wounds on this bass throughout his entire playing life. I was the one who who got him to put on round wounds on it because I wanted to play round wound strings. So the frets are in pretty good shape for being such an old instrument. Other than that, everything is stock on this bass, and it's a beautiful instrument, and it pains me that he's gone, but he's always with me as I have this bass to remember him by. And yeah, that's the story of this bass, which is the first bass I ever played. So with that being said, that's the story of this bass, my Fender from 1963, which belonged to my uncle and now will never leave my ensemble of instruments. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little video of mine, and make sure to subscribe to this channel if you want to see more bass related nerdery and stuff. I have some other basses with some great stories to them as well. Let me know if you want to know the story about my new Yamaha Attitude Limited 1. That story is also worth telling if you ask me. It's actually quite a cool story. So let me know if you want to know, if you want me to make a video about that bass. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you guys around. Take care, bye!